You might be wondering, how many textbooks do you need for college? You also start to think about how expensive these textbooks are. In order to show you guys what an average student like me spends on textbooks, I decided to do a college textbook haul. And on top of that, I'm also going to be giving you guys tips on when it comes to buying college textbooks. Now before I begin this video, please remember to check out my channel where I do videos and vlogs revolving around school and lifestyle just like this one. Check it out, and if you like what you see, remember to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my weekly uploads. Also, do not forget to add me on social media at GoalkeeperDanny on Instagram and on Snapchat to see what I do day to day as a college student. But now let's go straight into this video. Now when it comes to buying college textbooks, the reality is that everybody spends a different amount. It all depends on your major, on your school, if you have any scholarships that are directly towards your textbooks. So just because I bought these amount of books and I spend this certain amount of money, it doesn't mean that that might happen to you. Another thing to have in the back of your head is that I am an athletic training major and I'm studying at the University of Miami, so it also influences the cost and the type of textbook I need. Now the first textbook I want to show you guys along with some tips is my biology paper textbook right here. Now the first tip that I have for you guys is that sometimes when you're buying a textbook, they have like a paper form and you have to put it in a binder, and it might look kind of weird, but it's so much cheaper. And at the end of the day, you still have like the same pages, you have like your table of contents right there, so it's not a bad deal. Now the second tip I want to give you guys, just because it applies to this textbook specifically, is to always try to find handy down textbooks. For instance, I got this textbook for my amazing girlfriend. She gave it to me for free, which saves me like a lot of money. Now I know it's really hard and I got really lucky to get a free textbook, but even then you can buy like a used one, maybe like on Facebook, like on a college group thing, or even on Amazon. Alright, now this is where I started spending money. Here I have my Principles of Athletic Training textbook. Now this book usually runs for $180, but I was able to get it for $60 on Amazon. Now another really good tip is that if they have like a paperback version, which means it's like not hard, get that because it's always cheaper. Like, I'm being honest, I've gone on Amazon and sometimes the hardcover is like $100 more than like the soft one, and at the end of the day you still get the same pages, you get the same thing for less money. Now next up on the list is this medical physiology textbook. Now on Amazon, this usually costs brand new $70, but I was able to get it used for about $45. Now I didn't have to buy this textbook, but I decided to. It was recommended by the professor, which leads me to my next tip, which is to ask the professor if you're actually going to be using the required text from the syllabus. Now this is really crucial if you want to save money, because sometimes on the syllabus there's like a required text, but in reality the professor doesn't even require it, and if you just buy it, you're wasting money. And there's other cases where there is a required text, but let's say it's too expensive, your professor could actually give you like an alternative. Now for this book, none of those cases were applicable to me. This was actually a recommended textbook by the professor, which is another thing. Sometimes professors recommend textbooks even though you don't need any for the class, and he recommended this one, which I really wanted since it's like a medical physiology textbook, and I'm really going to be doing a lot of that throughout my college years. Now my next textbook, which I don't really have a hard copy of because it is an e-text, is the Responding to Emergencies textbook, which I bought for about $90. Now why did I decide to get an e-text and not get like an actual hard copy? That's because it's way cheaper, which leads me to my next tip, which is that if they do have an e-text, meaning you could only access it online, and it's much cheaper than the hardcover, even paperback version, just get it. Now this does have an amazing advantage because it means that you don't really have to carry a bulky book kind of like this one. It's all online and you could, like, you know, look at the book from anywhere. Now I do know some people like to have a hard copy of the book just to, you know, be more comfortable with it, like be able to highlight more, so whatever works for you. But if you're looking to save money, the e-text might be for you. Now the last two things I spent money on were on Tophat, which was $25, and Pearson Mastering, which was about $70. Now these two things aren't really textbooks, even though I do classify them as textbooks when it comes to spending money. And that's because Tophat and Mastering are basically like online services that are required for the class. And at the end of the day, these online services kind of function like a textbook. They do have text within the website and they have like different modules, so it's pretty similar. Now unfortunately with these, there's not like many tips I can give just because they're really straightforward, and if your class requires one, there's really no way of saving money. So even though your class might not require an actual textbook, they might require like an online service, so just be on the lookout. Now it's time for the final calculation. So at the end of it all, I got one free textbook, I got two like actual hard copy textbooks, and I got one e-text, and then I got two online services, and the total of all of that was around $300. Now, to some people, this might be really, really cheap, and to others, it might be really expensive. Like I said, the amount of money you spend on college textbooks really depends on a bunch of factors. But hopefully in this video, I was able to give you guys a general broad idea when it came to buying college textbooks. And on top of that, I also hope you guys learned some tips so that you guys save money when it comes to buying these books. Well, that pretty much concludes our video. That is the end of it all, but always, always, always remember to stay hydrated.